Hey, what's up everyone? It's Friday evening, in the middle of Black Friday. We are in the heat of that November sale period, and I've been hammering away on Framer using both workshop and design pages to just get all these Black Friday assets out of the way so that we can have a very successful campaign for our startup Blitz It. And lately my workflow starts with Framer's latest release called Design Pages, which is essentially Figma right inside of Framer, which allows you to explore different ideas before taking one specific idea forward for a published landing page, right? And that's what I want to talk about today is this workflow, starting design pages, coming up with concepts, using then Framer's workshop tool to come up with really complex components for my marketing campaigns, and then taking those winning landing pages forward and then running my email campaigns, which I'm using currently a tool called Brevo for that. And so far the campaign's going well, and I thought I'll take this opportunity to share what my workflow looks like. So let's jump into it. All right, so we're inside of my design page called Exploration, which is inside of my Blitz It project. Here you can see all of the different designs that I kind of ideated in this exploration. And one of these ideas I took forward. In fact, I'll jump straight into the final result of what this exploration led to, which is this page over here. And you might see a few blank pages, and that's because I'm using lots of scroll transformation effects. So it'll make sense if I go into preview. So this is the preview. We'll go ahead and scroll. So lots of fancy transformation effects, as you can see. A really great tutorial video that helped me is Nandi's, who's the founder of Framer University, his tutorial on transform effects. And so I'm using scroll transformations over here to do this. That video is a great foundation, but of course, I'm sort of using my own storytelling to build this out. But it's definitely a great foundation to kind of understand how it works so you can take it forward with your own ideas. Here's a bento with all of our products features that are coming soon. Mobile app. And by the way, this mobile mockup is from a product with myself and Chris, who's my co-founder in this, which is device mockups inside of the plugin marketplace. That's how I built out this mockup. And essentially, device mockups is a library of hyper-realistic device mockups that you can plug into Framer and replace the screen with either an image or a video. And if you know how to, of course, work with components, you can detach our components and add actual interactive components inside of the screen, which is what I've done for this kind of example over here for our mobile app, right? So yeah, go check that out. And by the way, you might have a Black Friday deal for that plugin soon. So do stay tuned. Probably on Twitter is the best place to follow me to keep up with those offers. So that's from device mockups. And then we have the integration part that we're showcasing. Again, lots of fancy animations over here. I'm just using components with interactions here to get this result. I copied all of these components from all these screens from our Figma design system. Of course, we're still using Figma for our application design system. It still has its place for that kind of use case. Like I would never prototype full applications on Framer just yet. It's probably getting there because I would love to try that out, but Figma still is much better for that kind of use case, right? Like designing out applications and prototyping end-to-end applications, I'd say. And then here's where I'm showcasing our new AI feature. Again, bento. Sessions tracking is a new feature we just released. A little message from me with a video, and then call to action at the end with a testimonial. So that is the website. So really cool website, lots of fancy animations. And let's go back to the exploration to show you what that looked like. So going to the exploration really was simple. I started with a duplicate of one of my existing landing pages, which was this one, brought it over here, started tearing it apart, and then adding more images, adding more resources from our Figma file, from like sort of visuals of our application. And then like you can see over here, I plugged in this visual from our application right from Figma as an image. And I just started mocking up ideas. And so one idea went to the other. I try to contrast my ideas. I don't try to make too many small adjustments. When I want to really ideate, I do make very contrasting concepts, right? So you can see this one with a 3D transform effect applied. That's what gets this sort of effect that you can see. And if I play around with the effect, the perspective slider, you can see how that kind of impacts the style or the visual, right? And you can see the transform rotate values over here to get that effect. And then I tried this concept with just the timer at the top with a big headline. And then we started going into this direction, which is closer to what I have right now, as you noticed in the sort of final published version. And then trying with different mid-journey visuals that I generated. So again, the cool thing about design pages is that you can play these pages just like you would with any other website. The only difference is that you can't have the mobile responsive breakpoints. You're working at one breakpoint at a time. And you can't actually add effects directly. I think some of these effects are still playing on my text because I copied it over from my previous landing page. So it looks like those effects also copied over. But the thing with design pages is that you can't actually start effects from scratch on any object, right? So I have to do this all in a published sort of a web page, right, when I'm ready. So I ideated all of these different concepts, picked the sort of winning concept, which was more closer to this kind of top fold style. And then what you do is you right click and you choose create web page, right? And when I create web page, it comes into, it becomes a normal web page. I then create my breakpoints and I start refining and tweaking and adjusting, adding those transform effects and getting it really sort of finessed for that final version. And that really is my workflow. So it's a really simple workflow. You know, I won't go into transform effects and how I built that out. That, you know, is very calculated. It takes a lot of like adjustments and tweaking. It took hours of time to kind of really get it right to hit those notes, especially on mobile. Remember, like I'm not just doing it for desktop. That's, you know, I typically start with desktop and then, you know, I should be started with mobile because it is a mobile first world. Imagine getting this right on mobile. It's not easy, but I still managed to do it. It just takes a lot of time. It's a bit slow, but of course it's worth it at the end, right? You can see for a mobile breakpoint, it still hits home close enough to what we're getting as an impact on the visual impact from what we see on the desktop and tablet, right? And so that's the goal, is that whenever I try to make something and I start on desktop, I want to make sure that the mobile version is at least close to the visual impact that we have in the other breakpoints. I think I achieved that. Anyway, you guys tell me, you can leave it on the comments. Now, part of this video as well, I wanted to talk about is Workshop. What Figma have been able to do with Workshop is insane. I never have to now go looking out for components in the Figma community. You know, previously you would have to wait for someone in the community to sort of code their own components and then, you know, be generous enough to then make it public into the communities for us to use it. You don't even have to do that anymore. You can just use Workshop to spit out components that you need and get it exactly how you want, which is insane. So you don't ever have to be sort of, you know, kind of pinned to what someone created. You can create your own components by speaking naturally in natural language to Workshop, right? And here's Workshop. It comes from the plugin menu over here. And this is Figma's little vibe coding tool, you can say. And a couple of things I created. I'll show you what I created first. One of the things I created is this little timer that you see over here that's counting down. When I click it, you'll see all the settings that are available, show days, hours, minutes, and then I can tweak it with my own font, etc. And this is super useful because this timer is essentially being run across all of the placements where we have it in our product visual, as you can see, because our product is essentially a timer with a to-do list. So you can see the timer here, in this bit over here for the Pomodoro, the break time timer, and essentially even in the mobile app, I'm using it inside of this component. So in fact, I'll open the iPhone component so you can see our Figma Mockups product, which again, in the plugin marketplace, if you type, where's my, you can't see plugins inside of when you're inside a component. So if I go in here, that's device mockups, by the way, just so you know. It comes with a library of mockups, so little plug. It is my video after all, for device mockups. But going back into this component, you can see as I go inside, you'll find that I am using a little countdown timer there too. So that component was created. And in fact, what I'll also do is show you guys how how I created the component in Workshop by revisiting the Workshop conversation. So I'll click the component, you click edit in Workshop on the component menu on the right, inspector tooling, and Workshop shows up. You can see and backtrack through the entire conversation, which is super cool. So you always have a historic reference for what you asked workshop. As you can see, I started with a very basic prompt saying, create a countdown timer that resets every time, font selection and time in hours, minutes and seconds, and it gave me V1. Then I iterated asking, can it scale down on relative width? And then it gave me the version I want. And very soon, as you can see, I landed with my final version for that component. Not only that, I recently created something super cool, which is more of a marketing tactic, is for this page over here and Black Friday 50 specifically. Let's see this. So you see over here, this is a component, this text. This is a component I create for personalized text, which is perfect for our email campaigns, because what we can do now with this is use a URL parameter, which I'm using the URL parameter name, and then whatever equals value will essentially replace this value over here, which the fallback is your friend. So your friend, that word, that set of words will be replaced with the person's name. So we have our email tool, which is a CRM, which has all of our users in there with their first names. And so what I do is tell the email to link any of the call to actions to the link / name equals their name, so the code that email marketing tool recognizes as their name. And so long story short, I'll show you what that sort of results in. So you can see there's a call to action. If I click the link, it's going to take me to the personalized text. And you can see, hi, Omar Farouk. It recognized it was Omar Farouk because of the URL parameter. So if I go in here, you can see this is the URL from Figma, this part. This is all Figma. And then after the question mark, that's what I plugged in, which is name equals Omar. And this part, Omar Farouk, is actually from my email tool. We enter a code that essentially the email tool recognizes in the URL for that button, and it plugs in whoever that email is getting sent to. It'll plug in their first name or their full name, as in this case, right? So super, super cool component I was able to spin out. Again, let's go look in the workshop conversation what that looked like. I'm clicking edit, and you can see over here, a personalized text component that takes a URL parameter and changes the text dynamically based on what's there. And we got V1, which is, that reads the URL parameter. And then I said that the text alignment wasn't working. It fixed that. The ability to set the text to fill, it fixed that. And then it also is taking a long time to load, and I asked it to fix that. Again, really bad language, as you can see from my prompt, but it actually fixed it, which is incredible. So that's the kind of results that you can get with Workshop. And in fact, what we're going to take the opportunity to do now is what I was trying to do earlier before this video. So the reason why I'm making this video in the first place is that I need to actually build a component for our roadmap page to allow people to upvote. So let's go ahead and try that. We'll go to Workshop. Yep, that works. Okay, so that's good enough. So basically anyone that visits the site during that session, they can click once. It won't work after the second click, but if they refresh the website, they can technically keep clicking it. So it's the best that you can do for something as simple and basic as this. Perfect. So we got something here. It looks like it's set at 0. I'm going to drag and drop it inside of my page. Let's go ahead and see if it actually works first. Oh yeah. Okay. It does actually work. Nice. And then look, the first time I click it, I can't click it again, which is perfect. Exactly what I wanted. So there you go, guys. Look, I am going to spend some time building out this page, but just like that, we were able to create a component that allows you to upvote on a single browser session, which is going to be super valuable for this page that I want to build. But that's the workflow, guys. Now, Figma has just gone above and beyond. Now, especially for designers, if you have design skills, I still feel like end-to-end design using AI is not there yet, right? I'm sure at some point, creative professionals like myself, like a lot of you guys watching, will be great directors of AI to get a specific result. So we'll be doing less pixel pushing with the mouse, more directives and more aligning, which is going to be a valuable skill, because if you know what looks good, then you can direct AI. AI just becomes your kind of employee, right? That you can go ahead and tell them to execute. And then you can always come back to the mouse and do a little fine tuning where it's required. But you still need that sort of insight. So Figma is perfect for that. I think there's always going to be a place for a tool like Figma to build out next level websites, right? When you have AI tools that are built for just sort of an AI only workflow with no manual kind of fulfillment, then I do think that it's going to be very limited in its capabilities, and it kind of, limits what designers are capable of. Like, this is a perfect use case, allowing me to use design pages to then flesh out concepts, then perhaps using AI as a starting point by using Wireframer, which is their AI sort of wireframing tool, which can spit out quick layouts for you to as a starting point. That's great for designers. Using Workshop to spit out actual functional technical components. That's perfect for designers because we're not coders, right? So it really is perfect for a design-led workflow for sure. And I'm pretty sure as the market kind of continues in direction becoming where AI becomes more agentic in these type of tools, then you'll start to see the shift where we'll turn more into directives, less on the mouse, less pixel pushing, but that skill of pixel pushing, that skill of knowing how things come together to look good is still going to be super valuable. And if you don't pixel push, if you're not a hands-on designer, I don't think you'll be effective at directing either. So there's, a catch 2022. It's very interesting to see where the industry goes. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch up with you guys soon. Take care.